Welcome to the Be Ready Utah PrepCast. I'm Wade Mathews, the manager of Be Ready Utah. Also with me are Anna Boynton and Bryan Stinson, both with Be Ready Utah, outreach specialist, and also with tribal liaison, right, Anna?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for being here. And we're excited to do part 3. We're going to finish up sheltering for a protective action, really, in this case, for emergency preparedness. We've talked a little bit already about part 1, Bryan, was
sheltering in the cold.
Extreme cold, sheltering in extreme cold, and part 2,
sheltering in extreme heat.
So again, you can go to our YouTube channel or Facebook page and look up previous episodes of the Be Ready Utah PrepCast. And before we forget, also on our website, bereadyutah.gov, are lots of downloadable, printable Be Ready Utah brochures. And in this case, we've got one on sheltering right here, and on the backside, sheltering in place, which is what we're going to talk about today. So besides the extreme cold and the extreme heat, we need to be prepared for sheltering for other threats, other hazards, right? What are some of those other hazards that we could be needing to shelter from that we could face where we live?
Well, one we think a lot about is just extreme weather. I mean, when protective action for lightning storm, when thunder roars, go indoors. Okay.
Exactly.
So that's one thing that we might need to shelter from.
Right.
And if we think about all the time that we spend on the roadways or on public transportation, we spend quite a bit of time there traveling. What happens if an incident occurs while we're in that condition? We may have to shelter in place there, wherever we are, wherever there is. It won't be a home.
Yeah. So being prepared to shelter in your car for a while, in other words. Having a car emergency kit, a disaster supply kit in your car, which I think we talk about in a different episode. But yeah, speaking of going up and down the highways and railways every day, are all kinds of hazardous materials, right? Ethyl methyl death is the nickname that the responders like to refer to hazardous materials. And if there's a train derailment, a tanker crash, or rollover, all of a sudden there might be something dangerous in the air. And it's not something that happens very often, but it is something that we all should know how to protect ourselves from. First of all, in that case, the immediate area around there would be evacuated. That's something we all need to realize. Evacuation is going to be the first and foremost protective action. If we can get people out safely out of that danger area, that's what we will do. In the second case, however,
take your disaster supply kit.
And take your.
That's why you need your disaster supply kit.
Absolutely. Take your disaster supply kit with you. In the next case, though, we would maybe shelter in place, a protective action, the outlying areas that weren't really adjacent to that immediate threat. But if the wind is blowing or it changes directions, if we have already instituted sheltering in place, we're protected from those dangerous chemicals or hazardous materials that may be in the air. So sheltering in place involves going indoors. Closing our doors and windows, locking them will create a tighter seal. Turning off your air handling systems. Why should we turn off those things?
Otherwise, all that muckety muck, the ethyl methyl, whatever you're talking about, it's just being pushed through your house.
Exactly. It's sucking it right in. Your furnace, your air conditioner, if we don't turn those off, it's just going to pull it right into the house. Going in, then you take your family into your pre-selected shelter-in-place room. So just like anything else preparedness related, this takes some advanced planning, some advanced preparation. Decide now which room is going to be the best for your house, which one will fit the family members, and if need be, will it have the facilities. Sheltering in place for hazardous materials emergency, we're maybe planning for 2 or 3 hours, not 2 or 3 days or more for maybe an evacuation or something like that, but 2 or 3 hours, long enough for them to clean up the spill or contain the leak, or the wind changes directions, and then it's safe to come out of our home. So you have to pre-select that room. Centermost, above ground is best, because centermost is a room that doesn't have windows. If you have a room that doesn't have windows, that meets those conditions we just talked about. And above ground, because chemicals are heavier than air and they will settle in the low places.
Okay, so I have a question. In my house, I don't have a room without windows. What are our circumstances there?
Neither do I.
Okay.
So our shelter room in our house is our master bedroom. You do the best you can with what you have. In all things preparedness, you do the best you can with what you have. So there is no center room in my house either.
Yeah.
It's our master bedroom, and it has the master bath attached to it. So it's big enough for the family, and it has the facilities there if the facilities were needed for that 2 or 3 hour period. Once you go into that room, now this is the next important step, is you take pre-cut, again, some homework, something to do in advance.
Pre-planned, pre-cut.
Pre-cut plastic and duct tape. And we had some plastic here on the table I was going to use, but I don't know what happened to it.
Oh.
Yeah. Just visqueen, just the plastic you can go down at the hardware store.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter the thickness as long as you've just got it around over the windows, and then you seal it up with duct tape.
Okay.
Over the windows, over the vents in the ceiling. You can put duct tape over the outlets in the wall, around the plumbing that's coming under the sink.
Under the doors?
Around the doors, you can stuff a towel or a blanket under the gap in the door, at the bottom of the door. Yeah. And then you've sealed off that room. We're not going to worry about running out of oxygen. Our homes are still not that airtight for those few hours that we may be in there that we need to worry about running out of oxygen. You take a battery-operated AM/FM radio in there with you and turn that on so you can hear the instructions when it's safe to exit your shelter and ventilate your house or air out your house. Those are the basic steps to sheltering in place. And as I said again, we don't know when these may happen, and it's not very often, but we still need to know the protective actions. If we don't know how to survive the disasters, the rest of our plans don't really matter. And no, we're all not running around carrying gas masks with us, right? Like the military does. We don't have that. I don't know if that's a luxury or that necessity to be carrying gas masks with us all the time.
So I'm curious, in a situation like that, is it wise for us to be aware that our cell phone use possibly may be out of service because of high usage?
Yeah, that's certainly a possibility, yeah. So we having that communication plan, and I think that'll be a topic of a future episode of the Be Ready Utah PrepCast. So having some bottled water and some granola bars with you, so you can make this little shelter-in-place kit before you ever need to use it with that pre-cut plastic and duct tape. Big window, north window, south window. You write it right on the plastic, fold it back up and put it in the box with a roll of duct tape. Put some bottled water in there, some granola bars, so maybe you've got that for that period that you're in there. Stick that in the top of the closet or under the cabinet in your shelter room, and it's ready to go if you ever need it. And again, we've got a document on our website, bereadyutah.gov. There's got a little drawing there. All the steps that I just outlined are labeled there, listed there. And that pretty much covers that, I think.
One thing, when you were talking about the pre-cut, pre-planned,
yeah.
My family and I, we did this. We did a pre-run through to see, how can we do this? And we got in there and put the stuff on the door and on the outlets and stuff. And I realized I couldn't reach the ceiling to do the upper vent.
Oh.
So one thing we learned is going through is we've got to have a little step ladder as part of ours. So we got ourselves a little 3-foot step ladder that just is enough that I can reach up and cover the vent on the ceiling. So it was a good thing that we did that.
You practiced it in advance.
We never would have known that or even thought about that because you just put it on the ceiling. So yeah, it's very important to practice this and see what works and what doesn't when it's not a life and death situation, so that when it is, you've already got that covered.
And that reminds me, we're about out of time, but remember your functional and access needs neighbors as well. If your neighborhood is put under a shelter-in-place order, bring them in wheelchair, elderly, handicap, bring them into your shelter and let them shelter with you. If they probably can't do the things that we just talked about, just climbing a step ladder or even closing the doors and windows and those types of things. So bring them into your shelter.
Which brings up, don't forget the pets.
Yes, and your pets as well. But don't risk your life trying to find your pet if they're not home at the time that shelter-in-place order was put into place.
And you both have brought up another one for me, and that is your family calling plan. Let your family or your outside contact know that your condition, because they will be wondering.
Excellent. Good point. I think that takes up the bulk of our time right now. So thank you again for watching Be Ready Utah PrepCast. Again, our documents are on our website, bereadyutah.gov. You can go see these episodes of the Be Ready Utah PrepCast on our YouTube channel and on Facebook. Look for them on Twitter. And again, if you've got any questions you'd like us to answer for you on the Be Ready Utah PrepCast, please put them in the comments section. And thanks for watching.
Hey, hope you enjoyed this episode of the Be Ready Utah PrepCast. Like what you're seeing? Have a question about anything related to emergency preparedness? Or do you have a comment about something you've learned as you make a plan or get a kit? We'd love to hear from you. Comment or reply to us on Twitter or Facebook at Be Ready Utah with hashtag BRUPrepcast or in the comments on YouTube. We'll talk about it on one of the next episodes of the Be Ready Utah PrepCast. Don't forget to share these videos and your own adventures in preparedness with your friends, family, neighbors, and coworkers, because anytime is a good time to talk about emergency preparedness. See you next time.